UFC Fight Night Burns versus Morales this weekend, May 17th. I'm going to be doing something a little bit different today for you guys. I'm still going to be breaking down the full card. I'm just going to be quickly going through each fight and letting you know where the value is going to be on the betting lines. So in this one, we got Luana Pinheiro versus Tisha Pennington, first fight of the night. And this line right now is sitting at about minus 320 for Tisha Torres or Tisha Pennington. And I think she should be a little bit wider of a favorite here. I actually see her as like a minus 500 or so. I think she's going to win this fight about 5 out of 10 times with her well-roundedness. She's going to be able to stuff the takedowns when Luana Pinheiro tries to get it to the ground and keep it on the feet. Her striking is really good, so she's going to be able to cruise to decision here. So I think the value is on Tisha Pennington in that fight. Moving on to the next fight, we got Hyun-Sung Park taking on Carlos Hernandez. I really like Carlos Hernandez value right now. I believe he's plus 150 if I'm not mistaken. Yep, plus 145. And he's just the more experienced fighter of the two. You always like to take those type of fighters who's been fed killers recently, Tatsuro Taira and Rei Tsuruya. And both those guys are really talented grapplers. He dealt with their grappling pretty well, enough to take Rei to a decision and got KO'd by Tatsuro Taira. But he dealt with the ground game pretty well, which I think Hyun-Sung Park is going to try to do to Carlos Hernandez. And I like Carlos's volume on the feet. I think he's going to be able to outstrike him at moments in here. As long as he doesn't get caught with something big, he should be able to edge out a decision victory here. Moving on to the next fight, we got Denise Gomes taking on Elise Reed. I like Denise Gomes here. She's a very wide favorite, but I still think she's a very safe parlay piece to add. I don't really see Elise Reed having any success, even in the striking where she's supposed to be better. She's not going to be able to get anything going. Denise Gomes is really good on the feet. She minds her P's and Q's and should be able to I would say drop her at some point, get her on top, or get on top for the rest of the round. Definitely could KO her. I could see that happening, but more likely a decision, dominant 30-27 across the board. So I really don't see Elise Reed's path to victory. She could hold her against the cage, but I just don't see that. She has the strength to do that. Denise Gomes is not going to settle for those positions, and she's going to win the striking pretty convincingly here. So moving on to the next fight, we got Luana Santos against Tainara Lisboa. And in this fight, it's classic striker versus grappler. Luana Santos being the grappler, judo black belt, brings pretty good throws to the table. But Tainara Lisboa is a two-time Muay Thai world champion, and I think she's going to be able to clinch and defend those throws from the clinch. In Muay Thai, you're always taught to not let people get you to the ground with trips and throws. So I think she's going to have good enough takedown defense that she'll be able to stop the grappling approach from Luana Santos and keep it on the feet. Win the striking clearly. She's a really talented striker. And I could see her edging out a decision here. It's going to be a pretty close fight, but as far as the odds go, she's plus 145, so you're getting better than coin flip odds on her. And in a fight like this, I do think it should be about a coin flip. Anything better than that, you're getting good odds on Tainara Lisboa, so we'll take that. Moving on to the next one, we got a Connor Matthews taking on Yadir Del Val. And in this fight, I really like Yadir Del Val. I think he's looked great on the Contender Series, battered Antonio Montero for 3 rounds to a unanimous decision. A lot of guys would have been KO'd in the first round there, but this guy's chin just held up. He was really tough. But it was a good showcase fight for Yadir, and he showed that he had good cardio, enough to go for 3 rounds without gassing himself out, throwing heavy output. So I think Connor Matthews is not going to be able to hang with him here in any realm it goes to. I like Del Val's striking. He showed to have pretty good grappling, good ground and pound from top position, really nasty elbows, and I just think this is going to be a one-sided fight, probably round 1 KO, and the odds reflect that. So you're getting a guy that's probably going to be close to minus 700 in his next couple of fights if he performs how he should. So I would go ahead and take that minus 430 there. Moving on to the next fight, we got Jared Gordon against Thiago Moises. Both these guys have been around the UFC for a little while. Jared Gordon has had a couple fight cancellations, so he's going to be eager to get back out there. Thiago Moises just beat Trey Ogden, who tore his bicep during that fight, so he was actually on the ropes a little bit in that fight, like leaning towards a decision towards Ogden, but he was able to get him to the ground and hold him there for the last 2 rounds, winning a decision. But I wasn't too impressed with Thiago Moises and how he looks. I haven't been impressed with him for a while now. Jared Gordon, he arguably beat Paddy Pimblett, well, should have, but judges didn't see it that way, I guess. Split decision with Nasrat Haqparast, which I felt like he also won. I had money on Haqparast, and I felt like I should have lost that. So that's saying something. Jared Gordon just always getting screwed over by the judges. That paired with his fight cancellations, he's going to be really pissed off going out there. And I think Thiago Moises is going to pay the price of that. So it's about a coin flip odds right now, pick 'em. Jared Gordon being the slight favorite, and I think that's warranted. So we're going to be taking Jared Gordon, I'm going to say by KO. I think he gets him out of there. Jared Gordon's going to want to make a statement, not leave anything to the judges, so I think he can get it done. So moving on to the next fight, we got Mateus Camilo taking on Gabe Green, and Gabe Green just turns everything into a brawl. Camilo has been training with absolute killers recently. He took out on Zombie Fight Night, Korean Zombies promotion, took out that guy that called out for a UFC shot and really made easy work of him, and he made a name out of him. So Mateus Camilo is a guy to watch out for, a new signing from the UFC, and he looked pretty impressive in that fight, and I think he's going to look really impressive here. And Gabe Green is going down a division. We usually see him at 170. He's going down to 155, so I think he's going to be a bit slower here. Mateus Camilo is going to be the more technical guy, and as long as he survives an early onslaught from Gabe Green, he's going to be able to ease to a decision here. And right now we got the odds minus 225, and I think that's fair enough for Camilo, who's making his UFC debut against the guy that hasn't really been too impressive. I'm going to take Camilo in that fight. Moving on, we got Erosa taking on Mel Costa. Mel Costa's been very active, fighting in the last 2 months. He's fought 2 times, so you got a really active guy. You're taking on a guy that just recently fought 4 weeks ago against Darren Elkins. Not sure what was up with Darren Elkins. Could have had something going on in training camp. Don't want to speculate, but he just did not look like himself out there. Could be all the damage that he's taken. But Julian Erosa did what he had to do there, and he really didn't look too impressive doing it. Kind of was in slow motion, if you ask me. And Mel Costa is a really good striker. He's also really talented on the ground. So anywhere this fight goes, I feel like he'll be able to hang with Julian Erosa, who's just a little bit slower than I'd like him to be. And Mel Costa has been on an absolute tear. I think he keeps this going here, keeps his momentum going in the past few months, and clearly he's wants to be on a fast track in this division and show that he is the real deal at 145. So I'm going to be taking Mel Costa here. At minus 172 is not the greatest odds that you like to be getting on him against a veteran like Julian Erosa, but I think that he'll look a little bit wider than 170 here, and should be getting a decision. I don't know, maybe either a decision, or I could see him actually submitting Julian Erosa and proving that he's the better grappler of the two. Alright, moving on to Nursultan Ruzaboyev taking on Dustin Stoltzfus. In Stoltzfus, you got a guy that's always going to make the fight a brawl. We saw that against Marc-Andre Barrio. He dropped him once, he got back up, and he KO'd him the second time he got back up. So, a guy with real power. He's got good throws too, good grappling game. So you're getting a pretty well-rounded fighter in Dustin Stoltzfus. And then on the other hand, you got a guy in Nursultan who faced Buckley. Looked a little bit questionable there. but Buckley is really, really talented. No shame in that loss. I'm just going to be taking Dustin Stoltzfus in this one. I think he, as a big of an underdog as he is, plus 242, you're getting a guy that's going to go out there and throw like he means business and be looking for the knockout at any point here. It's definitely a chance that Nursultan counters him, KOs him for sure, but I like our chances with a puncher's chance, which you're always getting with Dustin Stoltzfus at plus 240 odds. So I'm going to be taking a shot on the underdog here. In the next fight, we got Sadiq Yusuff taking on Myron Santos. And Sadiq Yusuff, he's taken a couple losses recently. Edson Barbosa, he was actually dropped Edson in that fight and then ended up gassing himself out and losing a decision there. Then Diego Lopez just went out there and dealt with him in round 1, showed that he could brawl with him. Myron Santos got a very undeserving win in his second fight in the UFC against Francis Marshall. He definitely shouldn't have won that fight. I took him in that fight and I knew that he lost like all 3 rounds arguably, and even after the fight he admitted that. But I think that here we see a really motivated Myron Santos, knowing that he has to prove himself against Sadiq Yusuff, and he'll show that he is the better striker here. I'm going to be going with Myron Santos at about minus 130 odds. In the co-main event, we got Paul Craig taking on Rodolfo Bellato. Paul Craig has been on a 3-fight loss streak, fighting guys like Caio Baralho, Nebo Nickel, who just got his O taken, and Brendan Allen. Those are all top-level guys, but not the results you'd like to be seeing with Paul Craig. He's really just got a good jiu-jitsu game, not really much striking to go along with it. So in this matchup, it's just a really bad matchup. Rodolfo Bellato is going to bring crazy striking to it, and he also has good jiu-jitsu to go along with this. So if we see him get dropped, I don't think he's going to get submitted in this matchup. And I think that Bellato is going to find a KO to Paul Craig, who's already been knocked out recently against Caio Baralho. I think we're going to see it again. He should be able to find that shot. He has a lot of power, as we've seen on the Contenders series and against Ihor Potieria. So I'm going to be taking Rodolfo Bellato at minus 550 odds. And in the main event of the evening, we got Gilbert Burns taking on Michael Morales. Gilbert Burns is a veteran that's been on a bit of a loss streak here. A lot of people are counting him out in this matchup, but I think that these odds are way too wide. I think Gilbert Burns is being disrespected by these odds against the undefeated Michael Morales, and although he's looked impressive, he hasn't faced anyone nearly as experienced as Gilbert Burns, and at these odds, I have to take a shot on Gilbert Burns at plus 570. Just going to be a sprinkle from me, but we'll see what he has left in the tank. This will really give us a good idea of where Gilbert Burns is at in his career and where Michael Morales is looking to head to in his career. Can he make a statement win, knocking out Gilbert Burns in a 5-rounder main event, which is the most likely outcome, but we could see Gilbert Burns test him a little bit here. So those are my picks for UFC Fight Night, Burns versus Morales.